Welcome back here at Grand Prix Stockholm 2014. 4 players remaining here in Grand Prix Stockholm. Semifinals, finals, and then we will know the winner. These 4 players, Simon, are Einar Baldvinsson playing against Lucas Blohon in our first semifinals. Second semifinals, Matej Zatlkaj against Thiago Rodrigues. Now, maybe let's talk a little bit about the Lucas Blohon against Einar Baldvinsson matchup. We're looking at a black-green enchantment deck playing against what seems to be just Timur aggro. Who do you think is favored in that matchup?
I'm going to say Timur aggro. If it comes out of the gates quickly and Blohon is looking at Seder Wayfinder and Island of Blossoms, then he's just going to be in single digits very, very early, and the Crater's Claws are really, really good at closing out the game.
And do you think there's a way for Lucas Blohon to win, or?
Of course, there's always a way. You just have to start.
What's his best plan?
I think Elvish Mystic into Cursor of Crewfix as a start, and then if he gets maybe a Doomwake Giant, maybe Rip of Erebos, maybe both going, then it's going to be difficult, even with a bunch of 4/4, 5/5, 6/6 creatures.
Yeah, the other matchup, of course, is Thiago Rodrigues on Abzan playing against Matej Zatlkaj on Jeskai. We'll get to see more of that as soon as possible as the players are ready to go. Let's take a look what's up in the semifinals of Grand Prix Stockholm 2014. There we have our other 2 semi-finalists of Grand Prix Stockholm 2014. On the left, Thiago Rodrigues from France on a pretty normal Abzan mid-range build. Matej Zatlkaj on the right playing Jeskai. Now, we've talked about the other matchup. Who's your favorite in this matchup, Simon?
My favorite is, of course, Matej, for various reasons. I think that Abzan in general is favored against Jeskai. But I think the experience of Matej playing this matchup, preparing for the Pro Tour, and also losing to Thiago on day 1, his only loss on day 1, will make Matej the favorite here. And that's even knowing that Thiago Rodrigues is going to be on the plate.
So knowing that Matej has already lost this matchup
makes it more likely that he's going to win.
Yeah, I can get behind that thinking. I think I'm going to go for Thiago Rodrigues. I actually know Thiago a little bit from the local PTQs he plays in Belgium. He's a very decent player. I think he traveled all the way to Orlando as well for the Grand Prix just to get a little bit more of Magic. You can't blame him for traveling to play more Magic. And I'm actually liking his build as well. He's got 4 Fleecemane Lion, 4 Siege Rhino, 4 Courser of Crewfix, and 3 Wingmate Rock, all of which are pretty good in this matchup.
I just love Fleecemane Lion. Ever since I saw what Patrick Chapin was up to, this card is, I think it's still underrated, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's like this 2-drop that's good in the late game, and there's not many 2-drops that are good in the
It's actually super scary on turn 5 as well. If you just monstrous it right there, a lot of decks have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but we're off with a Temple of Silence for Thiago Rodrigues. He keeps the card on top. Matej Zatlkaj with a Scryland of his own. Let's see if he also keeps that. No, quickly to the bottom, so a little bit of an advantage for Thiago there. Draws the card he kept on top. Does he have a Sylvan Caryatid to follow it up, or will he? Yeah, he's going for a Thoughtseize. Early Thoughtseize, always good. And let's take a look at the hand of Matej Zatlkaj. Mantis Rider, Lightning Strike, Brimas, and 4 lands. What do you think is the pick here?
Well, it's always going to be one of the creatures. It doesn't make sense to take Lightning Strike usually. I mean, how good is your 2-drop going to be that you don't want a Lightning Struck? Depending on the removal Thiago has available, he's more likely not to take damage from Brimas, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Mantis Rider hit the graveyard here.
Yeah, there's a lot of removal in the deck of Thiago Rodrigues that can handle the Brimas. Actually, there's a 4 Heroes Downfall, there's a Murderous Cut, and there's just a lot that can block it as well profitably. There's a 4 Siege Rhino. I think the Mantis Rider is going to hit the bin, and there we see it. Mantis Rider gets his card. Thiago Rodrigues goes to 18 life, loses 2 life from the Thoughtseize, and plays a Seaside Citadel. Sandstep Citadel.
I actually didn't know that Matej is on 4 Goblin Rebel Masters, so I think he is not playing Hushwing Gryff any longer.
Nope, he indeed moved back to his 4 Goblin Rebel Master. So did Andre.
Sasuke?
Yeah, who top-8'd with Hushman Drift, so he certainly knows how good it is. He also moved back to Goblin Rebel Master, so...
It's probably a smart move, given that everybody expects them to be on Hushman Griff. Kind of like that.
Yeah, I guess. And here, Thiago Rodrigues had to play come into play tap land. Matej Zatlkaj responded with Brimas on turn 3. That tap land kind of punishing Thiago Rodrigues. Otherwise, he would have been able to play Courser of Crufix, but since he didn't have 3 mana, he couldn't do that. Now, Hero's Downfall gets rid of Brimas. Do you think it's a good choice to get your removal out as soon as possible against this deck?
Yeah, in this particular case, I don't think it's close. You don't want to see Brimas attacking, I think. Also, even though it's playing quite a bit of creatures, this is still a burn deck after all, with Jeskai Charm and Stoke the Flames, 4 Lightning Strike, 2 Magma Jet, even 2 Ash Cloud Phoenix in the main deck. So if you aren't careful, you're just getting burned out, even from double-digit life totals.
Yeah, and Thiago Rodrigues looking at a hand of Wingmate Rock, Mana Confluence, and another Courser of Crufix. So no removal anymore for Thiago Rodrigues, but he does have some creatures to go.
Yeah, what he really wants is to be able to attack with Courser of Crufix next turn. The question is if Matej allows that.
Yeah, Matej is, on his side, is holding what seems to be 3 lands and still that Lightning Strike. So he's been drawing all but lands and a Goblin Rebel Master. So not the best draw for Matej. He really needs to find some business on top of his deck.
If he has a Lightning Strike.
Yeah, he still got the 1 Lightning Strike we saw from the top seas.
Then at least Thiago has to be careful about blocking. So that could give Matej a little bit of headway. I don't know if Matej is actually interested in attacking with his Goblin Rebel Master. I think that we've seen maybe we've seen very conservative play with Goblin Rebel Master throughout the weekend. I very rarely have seen it attack when there have been creatures on the opposing side. And sometimes I thought, well, the cost of blocking Goblin Rebel Master is actually quite high, so maybe there should be an attack by the Rebel Master. And Sarkhan actually makes it quite easy here to attack for 6.
Oh, I didn't see that one was in his hand. That's certainly the best possible thing that could happen. He gets more presence on the board, he kills off the Courser of Crufix and gets in with the Rebel Master.
He also drew out the Hero's Downfall already. Abzan Charm he's now aware of, but that's only relevant if his opponent keeps open 3 mana. And this is quite an important reveal here. If that had been oh, there is an untapped land. All right, so then it's not as important, because now Thiago actually has the removal spell for Sarkhan. Could also use it on Goblin Rebel Master if that's if his Courser dies. I don't know if that's a good plan for Matej though.
Yeah, I think Thiago will just block the Rebel Master if it attacks, but I also think that Matej won't attack with the Rebel Master. He just doesn't want to lose it. The 1/1s are actually pretty good, given that Thiago can't block them with the 2/4 thanks to Lightning Strike.
It's actually a decision here to also not animate Sarkhan. I think that was definitely a legitimate way of going about things, and I like the offer of a trade here to weaken the Wingmate Rock.
Yeah, but there's a Siege Rhino waiting on top, which he knows about. I'm not 100% sure.
No blocks?
No, no.
Okay.
First he's gonna kill off the Sarkhan, and now he seems to be blocking. Yeah, he's at too low life total. He needs to block, I think. He could have not blocked, taken 5, 6, 7, 8, would have gone down to 4, but I think, yeah, he's just gonna wait a turn for his Wingmate Rock right here. And in all honesty, the Siege Rhino is still pretty good on this board.
Yeah, because it can block a 1/1 and survive a Lightning Strike.
Yeah.
It can't block the Seeker of the Ray though. Well, not without losing. More lands for Matej. So Matej would really like to draw that 1 dig through time that he has in his deck.
Yeah, he does draw a second copy of Goblin Rebel Master, making another Goblin, sends in 4 Goblin tokens and the Seeker of the Way. Do you block the Seeker of the Way or the Goblin here?
I think you have to keep the Siege Rhino around, and you know that if you block Seeker of the Way, you lose it. So, what's your game plan if you don't even trigger the rock?
Yeah, I agree, but
blocking a Goblin means you take probably take 9, go down to 3. Then you're forced to attack with the Rhino, and your opponent gets, and then you get 2 rocks. I think he might just be looking at lethal then. Yeah, I think there's probably just no outs at this point. The Ravelmaster was too strong.
Yeah, a good draw by Matej. He just, I thought he had a little bit too much lands, but I didn't see the Sarkhan, and the Sarkhan just completely changed how the game played out.
Even if he allowed the Sarkhan to get dealt with by Abzan Chong, still a very good exchange for Matej, who doesn't use his Lightning Strike here.
Yeah, a little bit surprised by that as well. Oh, is that another Siege Rhino? That could again change the game.
But then you wouldn't attack.
No, he wouldn't have attacked there. But it actually is a second Siege Rhino, so maybe it would have been better for Thiago to play the Siege Rhino.
But 7 life. So if you block the 2 largest creatures, you still take 4. I think you're just dead to Lightning Strike.
No, you're dead to Lightning Strike, and he knows about that one, so he certainly should have gone the other way.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it would have been okay. Like you go up to 10.
11? 10, yeah.
10, then you have. Yeah, and then you have 2 blockers. That has to be better.
Yeah, this didn't seem very well. I think he should have played. Yeah, he realizes it. Maybe he realizes his mistake as well. Yeah. Do you think he could have come back? Yeah. If Matej keeps drawing lands, he certainly can come back.
It wasn't a great spot, but just think of Sorin Solemn Visitor.
Yeah.
Or next turn attacking for 4, playing 1 Wingmate Rock, and then drawing a Sorin.
Or draw the Singleton Whip of Erebos, which he has main deck.
Nice. That's basically comparable to Sorin.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't the right play there from Thiago, but you can't blame him. He's played 9 rounds yesterday, 6 today, then the quarterfinals have passed. Yeah. And it seems like we also have an update on the other matchup. Sorry for the Lucas Blohon fans, but he's down a game to Einar Balvinson. Seems like the Temur aggro deck is indeed well suited up against the Green-Black's Enchantress deck.
Yeah, and Jeskai is also up a game.
So seems like you just have a ball who tells the future. So
Crystal Ball.
Who's gonna win the finals? We already know the finals.
Matej Zatlkaj.
Matej Zatlkaj, Big Z. He's
He
going to
needs,
join us
he
in
needs,
the boot.
He needs a trophy.
He needs a trophy to brag.
I don't think he has ever won anything.
He needs bragging rights.
Well, we won't let him brag on camera. Well, he'll try, but...
Yeah, anyway, let's take a look at both of these players, Cyber. Matej Zatlkaj, he's looking at 3 Suppression Field, 3 Magma Spray, 2 Negate, 3 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Arc Lightning, 1 Keranos, and 1 God's Willing. Which of these cards is he bringing in, and why?
Now, you have 2 seconds.
2 minutes.
I like Suspension Field.
Suppression Field.
He wants to he takes out blockers, but he also disables raid effectively. The Wingmate Rocks get muted that way. And then I expect the negates and maybe the Disdainful Strokes as well. He wants to make sure that the removal spells that Thiago is definitely bringing in are not as relevant as they could be. And like I said, I've seen the Keranos strategies, but I would actually like to see a God's Willing over Keranos or any clunkier strategies.
And the cards you bring out in this matchup?
Yeah, it really depends on how quickly you want to finish things off. But Matej has told me that he needs a lot of creatures and the counter magic against the high removal density after boarding. So naturally, you will have to take out some burn spells. Maybe even the Lightning Strike. It's sad because Lightning Strike is such a powerful card in the matchup, or in the deck, I should say. But when you look at the cards in Rodrigues' deck, there isn't much to Lightning Strike anyway. So this is probably the card you have to take out.
Yeah, and looking at Thiago Rodrigues' sideboard, there's a bunch of one-offs there. There's one end Hostility, one other end, Liliana Vest, Nissa Worldwaker, Ajani Mentor of Yours, Elspeth Sun's Champion. So 4 different planeswalkers in his sideboard. There's 1 Fated Retribution, 1 Murderous Cut, and then a couple of more removal spells, 3 Bile Blight, 2 Drown in Sorrow, 2 Thoughtseize. How would you board in this matchup? In this case, Simon?
Well, I don't know exactly what Thiago's plan is, except for what Matej told me with the additional removal spells. And looking at this, there is End Hostilities, which is kind of weird as a mass removal spell because you want to have some board presence as well. So I would be looking at the spot removal, Other End, Bile Blight, and Murderous Cut. But also Drowning Sorrow. Now that Matej has won with Seeker of the Way and Goblin Rebel Masters, I would definitely bring these in as well. And I wouldn't make the mistake, or I would say it's probably a mistake if you think that you need to bring in any kind of Planeswalkers. That's just playing into the Jeskai strategy.
Yeah, but if you look at how many cards Matej might bring in, you could kind of suspect that he's at least gonna cyber out either Seeker of the Way or Goblin Rebel Master, right?
I don't think you can do that.
You think he has to keep both of these 2 toughness creatures, even knowing that Thiago is also on the Drowning Sorrow plan?
But it's only 2, right?
Yeah, but there's still some guessing around there, right? If Matej takes out 4 of his 2 toughness creatures and Thiago brings in his Drowning Sorrows, these Drowning Sorrows might be really weak, especially against Seeker of the Way, since you can pump that one if you play an instant or sorcery in response to
But that's a reason not to take them out.
Yeah, the Seeker of the Way, but the Goblin Rebel Master?
I think the Rebel Master is just too strong. I think you really want to draw as many creatures as possible if your opponent is on a spot removal plan. So I could see, maybe because Ashcloud Phoenix is also not incredible against Drowning Sorrow, you could maybe take some cards out. But I ultimately think that if you play scared against Drowning Sorrow, you might be losing to the other cards.
Okay, so let's see what's up in this matchup. They are still shuffling a little bit. We haven't seen any of their sideboarding. Maybe we can ask them after this match. Yeah, I think Thiago, he thought this game would go a little bit different. I'm sure he beat a lot of Jeskai so far in this tournament. It's supposed to be a good matchup for him as well. He actually beat one in the quarterfinals, if I remember correctly. So
yeah,
he certainly knows what's up in the matchup. Yeah, but I don't think he's giving up already now.
No, not at all.
He's come too far for that.
But he was on the play also, so it definitely stings to lose game 1, especially now that Matej knows his sideboard strategy. In the quarterfinals, I think that his Jeskai opponent gave him a lot more outs to win. His Jeskai opponent was just sitting there with Stoke the Flames, Jeskai-chan didn't really know what to do, and Thiago played it very smartly, just +1ing Sorin and getting an advantage that way. And then suddenly his opponent realized, well, this Sorin is at 6, I better do something about it. And he also boarded into End Hostilities, Karanos, maybe some other more expensive cards, and I think that really made it easier for Thiago to win.
Yeah, let's see. Matej Zatlkaj does have to take a mulligan. Thiago keeps at 7 on the play again, probably hoping to get an early Sylvan Caryatid or a Fleecemane Lion on turn 2, and from there hope a big Siege Rhino or a Wingmate Rock. Do you like a card like Dig Through Time in this matchup?
The singleton Dig Through Time I like, yes. It's a great way to finish the game, to find some burn spells once the game has progressed significantly long, and it kind of works well together with the plan of 1-for-1 countering or exiling your opponent's creatures, because that naturally draws out the game.
Yeah, certainly does. And it seems like Lucas Blohan and Einar Balvinson are still in their game 2. As we already know, Einar Balvinson from Iceland did manage to win that game 1. Lucas Blohan, is there anything in his sideboard that he could change the matchup? As we know, Temur aggro is quite aggressive.
Well, I see 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Arbor Colossus, 2 Heroes Downfall. Not really the sideboard against Temur aggro at all. You can always Thoughtseize, but if your opponent shows you 2 Savage Knuckle Blades, then you're just taking more damage in the process. And Arbor Colossus, I think, probably a bit too expensive, but worth a try. And then, well, 2 Heroes Downfall, that's just pretty much an even trade on mana. I don't think that's how you win the matchup.
Yeah, I'm a bit oh, there are 4 Murderous Cut. That's probably the best card in this matchup, right?
Yeah, if you can start off with a Seder Wayfinder and then have a very early Murderous Cut, that's definitely a good start. And you already have the 2 Doomwreck Giants in the main deck. After boarding, I wouldn't be surprised to just see all 4 of them, and that could really be backbreaking.
And I mean, the players are still shuffling. Well, at least Matej is shuffling. He did have to mulligan. Is this a mulligan to 5? Did we miss something, or is he still shuffling after that one mulligan? We'll get to know as soon as possible as we see.
At least one mulligan. I think he's just taking his time shuffling. I have a question from the chat here, and that's the difference between Matej's current Jeskai build and the builds that really play 3 or 4 dig through time. And I think Matej is really a creature-based aggro deck, and while he accepts that his creatures die at some point, he isn't really too keen on them dying. And the decks that play more dig through times are really spell-based. They use their creatures as burn spells. That's true for Seeker of the Way, for Goblin Rebel Master, for Mantis Rider, and that's usually where the creatures stop. And these decks are the ones that want to point Lightning Strike at the opponent's face. They want to then stoke the flames of their opponents and then refuel with dig through time. I don't think that that's Matej's primary game plan, and I really like how Matej's deck is constructed for this event.
I think it's more coherent. It just works well together. Whereas if you pump four of those dig through time in your deck, your burn, your control, your aggro, but sometimes you will draw a little bit of all of these 3, and that just won't work together. Except if your name is Josh McLean, of course.
It's definitely possible to play a less coherent deck, but it's also more difficult. And just imagine playing in this tournament where your opponent at some point is just going to drop Siege Rhino, Sorin, Rip of Erebos, Hornet Queen. You don't want to have all these angles, you just want to be an aggro deck today, and that's why Matej is in the semifinals.
Yeah, and I believe he did indeed have to mulligan to 5, so that's not the perfect start for game 2 for Matej Zatlkaj. Can Thiago punish him even more with the Thoughtseize? Nope, no Thoughtseize for Thiago. He does have a second temple, kept the card on top, I believe, so he is looking at a good play probably this turn. Maybe Courser of Prefix, any other 3 drops. There could be just a Fleece Mainline or a Sylvan Caryatid, but I think Courser of Prefix is the best 3 drop he can get. And little nice
with the picture, the paparazzi.
He doesn't seem very happy with the way things are going.
His PhD title is not in photography, so.
Yeah.
All right, Thiago
searches a forest with his Windswept Heat. He does have double green now for Courser of Prefix. Should he have it? He doesn't have double black yet, so no Hero's Downfall or something like that.
Also, another late game card in Liliana there, and the incidental life game is also less powerful against the aggro strategies as compared to the burn Jeskai. The burn Jeskai really is going to run out of steam, even with dig through time, if you gain too much life throughout the course of the game.
And it seems like Thiago does have quite some powerful cards, but he doesn't have double black, and his 4th land is at a Llanowar Waste or a temple. It's a temple, so he won't have the double black next turn. He might be a little bit too slow in this game, it seems.
Yeah, this is again Abzan midrange on the play with Courser of Prefix basically stopping Goblin Rebel Master dead in its tracks. And clearly this is the point where Matej has to be aware that he potentially exposes his creatures to Drown in Sorrow.
Yeah, Drown in Sorrow or Bile Blight. Oh, a second Goblin Rebel Master. That's very dangerous.
I think this answers how scared Matej is of Bile Blight and or Drown in Sorrow here. Oh, this is actually interesting. What I think that Thiago does not have mana for Bile Blight, but this is a spot where if you have a removal spell for a Goblin token in response to the trigger, the Goblin Rebel Master itself doesn't get stronger.
Or an Absent Charm to grow your own Courser of Prefix.
So that was a risky attack, but Matej, I think, is playing this just correctly, as aggressively as possible. No regards for the potential outs of his opponent, because he knows that with his mulligan and being on the draw, he just isn't going to win the long game.
Oh, and a timely God's Willing there on the Bile Blight, saving both of his Rebel Masters.
Incredible, and now I would love to just see an attack with everything here.
Oh, and a Suspension Field off the top to get rid of the blocker. This is like the perfect draw for Matej. He's gonna attack for 13 damage this turn. No.
Opponent down to 2.
actually 4, 6, 12, 34, 15
No,
damage.
more. Yes,
This
it's
is lethal.
for lethal.
Is this 15? Is this a turn 4 kill off a mulligan to 5? Wow, what a draw from Matej Zatlkaj. Turn 5 kill off a mulligan to 4, mulligan to 5.
On the draw.
On the draw.
So I would say, Maren, not boarding out these Rebel Masters was probably a good idea.
Okay, 1-0 for Simon and 2-0 for Matej Zatlkaj. He moves to the finals. Big Z Zatlkaj. He's gonna play in our finals. Who's he gonna be up? He's gonna be up against either Lucas Blohon or Einar Balvinson, as these players are still playing, it seems. We see a lot of permanents on the board there. We're gonna move over as soon as possible. Just gonna have a Steven Leeming move us over as quick as possible. That was insane.
They don't call him Big Z for nothing.
Big Z Rebel Master.
I couldn't believe that it was 15. It was just like
it was
3 goblins, 5. Okay, they count themselves. What? It's lethal, just like that.
Devastating.
Yeah, that's the only way to call it.
And there we have another game for us. Lucas Blohon up against Einar Balvinson. Lucas Blohon at a lowly 8 life means that one Crater's Claw could mean the end of Lucas Blohon's tournament. But he's got himself quite some creatures on the board, so he does have some way. Einar is also already at 13 life, facing 4 insect tokens, a Hornet Queen, a Llanowar Elves, Elvish Mystic, and a Sylvan Caryatid.
Yeah, I always have to think of Brian Kibler when I see the Teamer deck. He's the one who made it popular, basically on his own. And I think this might be a spot where Einar is already hoping to find Crater's Claw. It's not lethal yet, but if he finds or has one more land, then he's actually attacking for lethal, casting a lethal Crater's Claw.
Yeah, and we hear Matej Zatlkaj actually talking there about his experience, about how he top decked the suspension field to deal exactly 15 on turn 5. Yeah, he must be everyone's favorite coming into the finals already. But let's get back to this game. A tough decision, it seems, for Lucas Blohon. He doesn't seem to have any cards in his hand. Yeah, I don't see anything. There's a lot. He does have a lot of permanents in play.
It's probably the decision how to attack, because if your opponent is on 13, there might be ways to attack to win in 3 turns, definitely, maybe even in 2. But you have to keep in mind that those monsters from the Teamer deck are really, really scary. So this would be an attack for 4, leaving the opponent at 9. If you attack for 5, it's still not lethal. If you attack for 6, it's still not lethal. So I think holding back 2 insects is definitely something you should do.
Yeah, but the problem is that Einar is still holding 3 cards. He already played 6 lands, so there must be some more business in the hands of Einar Balvinson. But on the other hand, you don't want to give him too much time. You don't want to play too slow.
What's the opposite of pressure?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Balvinson could actually end of turn. Oh, did he just draw his card?
He does have the Crater's Claw, but does he have enough? 5,
he's missing 1 land.
6, 7. He's actually missing 1 land.
But he has another Boon Satyr, but I'm not sure if he opted not to cast it at the end of turn, or what happened there.
Maybe we're still at the end of turn.
Maybe we are now, but then he actually has 4 cards already, so he's holding a bunch of cards. I would like to see an unbestowed Boon Satyr here. It does cost 1 point of life, but that's still out of range, and it forces very interesting blocks out of Blohon, who might then also play more defensive. And your 4 power creatures are not really in danger.
And he has to take into account that Lucas Blohon kept the card on top with the Temple of Melody. So there might be something dangerous coming. And if you're holding Stubborn Denial, for example, you don't want to tap out. You don't want to Crater's Claw for the maximum here.
Well, only if it's lethal, of course.
Yeah.
But I hope it's still the end of turn, because Einar definitely needs to put the Boon Satyr onto the battlefield. Going down to 7 is pretty much the perfect spot. You aren't dying.
Yeah, you aren't dying because the insect token will also have to block. So you're not even dying if you're at 6.
Well, in theory, Blohan could go down to 4, but so actually,
It seems like we were.
I think the Bunseter was just drawn then. That's the only explanation.
Why didn't he play then his Polychronos?
He doesn't have a Peluconos. I thought he had 2 Stubborn Denial, a Crater's Claw, and the Bunseter. But then this blocking decision is even more interesting, and I don't think that Blohan wants to take an additional 4 points of damage here. That would basically lose to Bunseter and to Crater's Claws.
Yeah, next turn might be a question about whether or not Einar draws an untapped land. If he's on the Crater's Claw plan, he just wants to draw an untapped land, really.
But Blohan kept his card on top. It could be Rip of Erebos.
That would be a card.
It would get Stubborn Denial though.
So that wouldn't be a card.
Or is Stubborn Denial only instant and sorcery?
So I think you want it to be a Courser of Crufix to gain 1 life on top. No, it's instant or sorcery.
I think it's always good if you have more Hornet Queens. That has been the theme of the weekend.
Yeah, but that doesn't play around the top deck land, Crater's Claw.
Yeah.
So I think the best card he could probably draw is Courser of Crufix and hit a land on top.
It's kind of funny how an additional Crater's Claw also wins the game, because you get the +2 bonus, so it's actually saving your mana. So no, Stubborn Denial is target non-creature spell. So a Rip of Erebos or something along these lines is not going to resolve. And I think that Blohan might not have cast a single non-creature spell this game, which could mean that he knows about Stubborn Denial and would not leave a non-creature spell on top of his deck.
This is certainly a very, very, very close game. Einar basically 1 mana short at this point, and he's also taking 1, so he's going down to 7 life in the process. Oh, he's actually playing the Crater's Claw right now. I see what's up. If he waits, no, I don't understand, honestly. Why would he Crater's Claw this turn?
I don't know. I think if he waits.
There's a Courser. Ah, no land, unfortunately. But that was the card.
But what is his game plan now that he's waiting? Now he only has the Crater's Claw as out.
Well, he could draw like
I think
another removal
the
spell?
problem was that he knew that his mana confluences would not be live. If he gets attacked here for 6 or 5, then even if he draws the land, he can't use the mana confluence for mana. So his out has to be to draw
Lightning Strike
or another Crater's Claws.
Now a Hero's Downfall on top for Lucas Blohan. He could kill any creature next turn, maybe even gain another life. Either Balvinson knocking on his deck, that's a Knuckle Blade. Got that one? It's not enough, right?
It's not enough.
So we're going to
Stubborn Denial with 0 targets this game.
We're going to game 3. It just shows that you can't over sideboard. If you bring in too many cards, you will have sometimes these games where you need to draw either a creature or a burn spell, and you just draw the sideboard at Stubborn Denial.
Yep.
Whew, that was close. And we did see a Hero's Downfall coming off the sideboard from Lucas Blohan. We didn't see Arbor Colossus. We didn't see a Thoughtseize. So I don't think Lucas Blohan sideboarded that many cards, but he still managed to win game 2.
Yeah, in a very close fashion though. It's actually possible that he voided out some of the non-creature spells. That would be a nice way of going about things. If you know that your opponent has all these Stubborn Denials after boarding.
And it seems like Einar is a little bit reconsidering what he did. He just put in 1 Lightning Strike back from the sideboard, maybe taking out these Stubborn Denials. I guess if you're looking, when you lose game 2, and you look at that card you sideboarded, you're holding 2 of them, wasn't able to play it the whole game long, I guess that's a sign, right, to take them back out.
But sometimes that's how you lose games as well, right? Because then you take them out, your opponent plays Rip of Erebos and you can never win.
Yeah,
it's just...
Let's take a look at how many targets there really are in the deck of Lucas Blohan. There's of course the 4 Murderous Cut. That's a good target for Stubborn Denial. Then there's Commune with the Gods. Yeah, you're not very happy if you have to use your card to counter Commune with the Gods. There's only two Whip of Erebos, so not that many. So you've got 6, and then maybe the 2 Heroes Downfall. That's 8 cards which you can counter with if you bring them in. Do you think it's worth it?
I still think it's a very important card because Murderous Cut for a single black on one of your 4-power creature kind of destroys your whole game plan. And it's that important to have a 4-power creature in play for the Temur deck, unsurprisingly.
And would you ever consider only cyberding like 1 or 2 when you have 3?
That's definitely an option after game 2. You could take. I think it's correct to bring them all in. Blohan somehow leveled him, maybe only by virtue of his draws. We can't really be certain, right?
Yep.
So if he had seen like 2/3 of his opponent's deck and there were no targets, of course, then you take them all out. But he only saw, I think, 15 cards. So I would keep some in, definitely.
Yeah. This is gonna be Einar's gonna be on the play again in game 3. That's certainly a big point to consider, given how aggressive this Temur deck is. You think you would mulligan any hand without Elvish Mystic or Sylvan Caryatid if you were Lucas Blohan? You're opening 7.
Yeah.
Perfect
on
mana.
On the draw, you kind of have to.
Perfect mana. You just ship any non-Elvish Mystic, non-Sylvan Caryatid.
In this kind of matchup, Cursor of Krufix is not even at its best because it has 4 toughness, so it dies to most of Baldvinson's creatures.
Yeah, and another very interesting card for Einar Baldvinsson, 3 Hunt the Hunter in Cyborg. Also a very good card at handling Cursor of Krufix.
Yeah, but that's not for this matchup. I think that's for Abzan, maybe for the Mirror.
You think he doesn't bring it in?
No, I don't think so.
Against Elvish Mystic, Cursor of Krufix, I guess it's not against Eidolon of Blossoms.
But what are the other cards? Doombreak Giant and Hornet Queen.
Yeah, but hitting a Cursor of Krufix for only 1 green mana?
But we are not living in magical Christmas land.
I am. Sometimes.
I see, yeah. That's how you get all these prototype aids, right?
Yeah. How many you got?
Well, enough to win one.
Yeah. Anyway, it seems like the players are still shuffling, and I believe what is a mulligan for both of these players? Yeah, both of these players are gonna mulligan down to 6. Does this favor the guy on the play or on the draw?
Well, on the draw you have 1 more card, but also I think the more aggressive deck is more likely to get its pieces together. So I guess with Green-Black Enchantress, if you have a Seder Wayfinder, you are almost able to dig yourself out of that. So ultimately, I think the Green-Black deck is not only a great choice for this tournament, but also very resilient to mulligans.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they said about the Sidisi deck as well, that you have to mulligan a lot, but it doesn't really matter because you mulligan quite well.
And you get your resources from the graveyard, so it's not only about cards in hand. And all the other decks, it's different. All the other decks are also very much susceptible to flooding. I saw Martin User draw far too many lands this weekend. I saw a Jeskai deck sitting there with 10 lands and nothing to do. And like a couple of dig through times aren't going to change that. Ultimately, you're an aggro deck playing, I don't know, 24, 25, 26 lands. This is just because of the 3-color nature of the format. You have to play these mana sources, and I think the decks that can utilize their mana even on turn 15, these are the best decks in the format.
Yeah, the Green-Black Enchantress deck does play a little bit different than the Sidisi deck, right? It's a little bit less graveyard-based, with only 2 Whip of Erebos, but it still utilizes the graveyard. Sometimes even for Farika, God of Affliction, 1 main deck and 1 in the sideboard. So it's certainly not that the graveyard is totally useless, just like for the other decks.
Yeah, but on the other hand, 4 Eidolon of Blossoms are just an absolutely incredible draw engine.
I do see a Hunter there for Einar Baldvinsson, so it seems like he's also in Magical Christmas Land. He does have a Llanowar Elves to go with it, so maybe he can kill off an early Llanowar Elves from Lucas.
I just don't think that should be his plan. Just like we said, mulliganing is better for Blohan ultimately, so in the same vein, you shouldn't really be trying to trade for one. If you are Baldvinsson, you should try to attack your opponent's life total very aggressively, and to get going now.
Now an early brain maggot for Lucas Blohan. Let's take a look at the hand of Einar Baldvinsson. So that's 2 Boon Satyr, 1 Yavi Mayakos, and 1 Hunter. I'm guessing one of these two Boon Satyrs are gonna hit. Well, I'm not even sure. Again, depends on Lucas Blohan's hand.
Yeah, but I mean, Boon Satyr is just is the superior card to Hunt the Hunter. It's just really a question of what Lucas Blohan's game plan is. If he wants to maybe drop a Cursor of Krufix next turn, he could take the Hunt the Hunter, but then he still needs to be aware of the fact that he needs to block at some point.
Yeah, but if you take the Boon Satyr and you got the Cursor of Krufix, you play Cursor next turn, it just gets Hunt the Hunter.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And the
then,
Boon Satyr
then your
attacks
opponent has everything.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if your opponent drops...
he cannot kill the
No, but if your opponent drops Boon Satyr into Boon Satyr, well, that's also not a great spot. With Cursor of Krufix pretty much forced to block.
It seems like he goes for Hunt the Hunter. He did indeed. I did see a Cursor of Krufix in his hand, so that's the reason why he does it.
Yeah.
But now he's looking at 4 damage now and 8 more next turn.
And if Blohan is unlucky here, Baldvinsson finds a play this turn and a land for next turn to bestow Boon Satyr on. So just imagine a Pelukronos coming down here. Oh, alright, that's not happening.
Yeah, he does have still a double green with thanks to Yavimayakos, which he has. Lucas Blohan has the option to block here, but wants to save his Brain Maggot. Doesn't want to give. Oh, he actually doesn't play the Boon Satyr. Wants to keep it for bestow.
Yeah.
You think that's a reasonable choice?
It's reasonable. It allows you to attack into the cursor and generate some value off of the Boon Satyr. It's weaker against a card like Hornet Queen if it ever comes down. It also allows Blohan to chump block with a single creature to prevent 8 points of damage. And I think that's ultimately the reason why I don't think bestowing is what you want to be doing.
Oh, and now an Arc Lightning off the top for Einar Baldvinsson. He could kill the Brain Maggot, get back his Hunt the Hunter, and then kill the Cursor of Krufix as well if he goes for it.
Yeah, that's an incredible line. I would definitely do that. Especially there's a forest on top, so that's another life for Blohan. I really like the Arc Lightning. I think it's a single Arc Lightning off out of the sideboard.
Yeah, it is indeed only one copy of that, but now kills off the Brain Maggot, deals 2 damage to Lucas Blohan, gets back his Hunt the Hunter. Hunt the Hunter fights with the Boon Satyr fights with Cursor of Krufix, and he gets in for 7 damage. That's a huge turn for Einar Baldvinsson. Lucas Blohan now down to 6 life. Yeah, indeed, down to 6 life, and Einar Baldvinsson has that Boon Satyr still in hand. A lot will have to go right for Lucas Blohan to win this game.
Blohan's hand is almost only lands.
Yeah, it's land, Sylvan Carotid, and 1 Hero's Downfall.
Yeah, that's just pretty weak here. And now Baldvinsson actually has had the time to draw into his 5th natural mana source to bestow onto Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, Lucas Blohan says, okay, I don't block. Do I take 5? Do you bestow now? Einar Baldvinsson doesn't do anything. Lucas Blohan down to 1 life, facing 2 creatures. He can't even use his Llanowar Waste for a double black. There we see the handshake. Einar Baldvinsson from Iceland. He picks up the win, goes to the finals. Timur against Zatlkaj in the finals of Grand Prix Stockholm 2014. Big Z, Matej Zatlkaj up against Einar Baldvinsson. You're still going for Big Z?
Of course.
Lucas Blohan, he went very far into this tournament. I really like this deck. I think he played against a couple of CDC decks. Was a very good matchup for him. He got a pretty unfortunate pairing in the semifinals. He did manage to win game 2, so he certainly put up a good fight, but it wasn't meant to be. His draw wasn't very good in the game 3.
No, it was pretty bad.
Both of these players mulligan, but Einar Baldvinsson, that was a good mulligan.
Yeah, also I didn't really like how the Brain Maggot played out. Yeah, you had a good position, but you knew that when the Brain Maggot died, it would all crumble, and that's pretty much what happened. Also, I think the Hunt the Hunter sideboarding plan a bit optimistic, maybe, but it worked out.
Okay, it did indeed work out. We are ready for the finals, but we of course gonna give the players a little bit of time to take a rest. This was a tense game. Yeah, we're gonna take a little bit of a rest. We're gonna move back to Inside R&D for a little video before we start the finals, but don't run anywhere, because This is going to decide. One more match to go here at Grand Prix Stockholm 2014. It's going to be Big Z Matej Zatlkaj up against Einar Balvinsson in about 5 to 10 minutes. Don't run anywhere. Stay with us.
The Abzan revere the endurance of the dragon. That they believe that the way you win a fight is by being there at the end. That taking whatever the opponent throws at them and standing through it all.
The Abzan are white, black, and green, and the white is sort of the dominant expression. They're all about protection, they're all about community, and they're just, each of the colors sort of contributes to linking arms and fighting against all foes.
Anna-Fenza's goal is to be the best leader she can for her clan. So she leads from the front. She calls attention to herself by leading out with her chariot that's pulled by twin ibexes. She's there right with her warriors. She's a spectacle for her own clan. She serves as a rallying point because she knows that if her army works as one unit, then they can overcome any obstacle.
Sometimes what happens in design is you have two things kind of clash a little bit, where Anna-Fenza had this really strong flavor that the creative team had worked hard on, and that she was this leader, that she was a soldier, and she led them into battle. Meanwhile, it's the Endurance clan. So like we wanted the Khan to represent mechanically what was going on, but we wanted to capture her flavor. And it's like, oh, wow, she needs to attack because that's what her character does, but she needs to help you defend because that's what the clan does. And so we came up with this neat thing where she adds the +1/+1 counter. So the idea is all your other things can outlast, and then she can sort of fuel them all. So while she's doing her thing, she's helped building you up and helping you last.
She has this odd line of text of exiling your opponent's creatures that we put into their graveyards. And why is that on there? It seems like a strange fit. Well, the creative describes all these characters to us, and she says that she will grind her opponent's bones to dust so there'll be no memory of them. And that's where that comes from.
The Abzan mechanic is Outlast. Now, Outlast ability is pretty simple. It's an activated ability. There's a mana cost, and it also includes the tap symbol. So you pay that mana, tap your creature, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on your creature. Very simple, very powerful.
So at the start of development, Outlast triggered at the beginning of the end step each turn and only triggered on creatures that hadn't attacked that turn. The idea was to emphasize that rather than going out into the fray, that these creatures are sort of, hunkering down was our playtest mechanic name, and they're building up, planning for the future, growing ever and ever stronger. So yeah, one of the tweaks was just to change when you do that to activate it as sorcery only on your turn, and that was just felt to be a little bit more simplistic and easy to remember to do.
So Outlast was difficult to develop. Initially, it just put a +1/+1 counter on your creature. There wasn't any other theme. And the problem was there was no reason to put multiple of these in your deck.
Once we had Outlast in the file, we wanted to make sure that you were actually playing an Outlast deck. Because it's easy when it's just about making one awesome creature to just have, one or two Outlast creatures and the rest of your deck is doing something else. But we wanted it to be a strategy, so we started playing with these sort of +1/+1 counter rewards and cards like the Abzan Falconer that give all of your creatures that have begun to outlast an ability, in this case flying. And it suddenly